We see this in media all the time now. Got an established character or franchise people like? Well, get ready for it to be changed, warped, and subverted by Hollywood to fit a narrative. Imagine for a minute you have a favorite item of clothing. It's worn down and faded from all the times you have worn it, and it's starting to unravel in certain places. But you love and cherish it, and perhaps it even has some sentimental value to it. Now imagine that in comes a new clothing designer. They have seen how much you like the article of clothing, and they decide to remake it so that you and everyone else might enjoy it again. At first, you're excited to see what they're going to do with it, and excited to wear that kind of clothing again. Unfortunately, the new clothing designer has their own agenda and plans to make some significant changes to the clothing to make it appeal to modern-day consumers. In the end, the new clothing has been changed so much you can barely recognize it anymore. It is vastly different from the clothing product you were hoping for, and it basically just shares the same brand name as the original, but nothing else. You're willing to try it anyways, but upon buying it, you find out that it's made of inferior quality and materials. When you complain to the clothing designer, they laugh at you and deny your claims rather than listen to the feedback. You try to move on because at least you have the original clothing item, and while you're upset, you soldier on. However, now, when you wear the original clothing item, you get laughed at and mocked by the people wearing the brand new one. Not only that, but the clothing designer has bought up all of the original clothing items and declared them obsolete. Slowly but surely, you stop wearing that article of clothing you cherish. It begins to be less and less appealing, and eventually, you become apathetic to it. Your once loved item is now worthless, and the inferior redesign of it continues to flood the market until eventually it too becomes tiresome and fades into obscurity. If this story sounds familiar to you, it's because we see the same trope played out in media all the time now. They announce a remake or a continuation of something you love, but pervert it and change it to fit a narrative which destroys the value of the original brand as a byproduct. Criticism is ignored, and you are mocked and shamed for holding on to the past and not being able to accept the new modern design. They take original IPs we love and change them to the point where we can no longer recognize them, and yet they claim it's still the same product. You can't take something that's beloved for certain reasons and turn those reasons on their head and expect people to be okay with it. You can take that old item of clothing, sew it, tailor it, and build off the foundation of what people loved, and then everyone can be happy. That is what I like to call a hand-me-down hero. When you build off the foundation of what people loved and remake it for a new generation, allowing the people who originally enjoyed it to pass it on to their children, and so on. We don't need flashy new products with old names we remember. We want what we originally loved, or something entirely new and unique. Unfortunately, it seems Hollywood has lost touch with this idea. And this is why we get more hollow and soulless products based on what we once loved. Hollywood doesn't understand the value of hand-me-down heroes, and they have lost the ability to make things we can cherish, learn from, and pass down to our children. Until Hollywood can again recognize the value of hand-me-down heroes, we will never be able to escape the curse of reboots, reimaginings, and remakes. So for now, farewell to the hand-me-down heroes. May we meet again someday.